The tale begins with Tekeru, an ordinary Japanese office worker, heading home after another long day. Feeling tired of his dull routine, he decides to relax in front of the television for a change of pace. As he focuses on the screen, his glasses suddenly emit a bright glow, and in an instant, he's pulled into another world. A mysterious man welcomes him warmly with a cup of tea, leaving Tekeru baffled. The stranger introduces himself as the overseer of their solar system. To demonstrate his role, the man balances a tiny planet, Matthias, on his fingertip. He explains that Matthias is a barren world, one where life cannot naturally flourish. With a single drop of water, he shows Tekeru the transformation that his presence will bring once he arrives there. Shaken by the weight of this task, Tekeru listens as the overseer clarifies that he no longer has a soul, as he had already passed away. Overwhelmed, Tekeru realizes he cannot refuse. The man reassures him by granting him unique abilities, including limitless mana. Curious, Tekeru requests additional powers, such as acute harem. The overseer obliges, also granting him a wide area search skill to locate and trade rare treasures. He further equips Tekeru with a bottomless storage bag and the ability to communicate in the median tongue. As Tekeru begins to fade away, the man worries he may have made him too overpowered. Though uneasy, Tekeru suspects he's being tricked, but before he can react, darkness overtakes him. He awakens in a forest, resting against a tree, surrounded by greenery. Looking to the sky, Tekeru is awed by the sight of a massive planet encircled with rings. Determined to find people, he begins walking and eventually stumbles upon a small village. His nerves rise when he realizes he has no money. Recalling his search ability, he attempts to activate it with his wand, only to embarrass himself when nothing happens. After trying again by writing the command on the ground, the skill activates, showing the locations of several items nearby. Scanning one, he identifies it as B-rank night grass, which excites him. He gathers it quickly, but the rest turn out to be low-grade materials. Just when he thinks he's unlucky, he discovers a strange stone, only to learn it's actually monster droppings rated C rank. Though shocked, Tekeru collects everything and places them into his magical bag. Upon reaching the village gate, he encounters a yawning guard who is startled by his tall figure. Mistaking him for a knight, the guard asks about his role. Tekeru clarifies that he's merely a collector. The guard, introducing himself as Captain Marlowe of the village guard, opens the gate and informs him of a general store inside where he can sell herbs. As Tekeru enters, he feels awkward under the watchful eyes of the villagers. Tekeru steps into the general store, where the shopkeeper greets him and asks what he needs. Tekeru wonders aloud if the man would buy monster droppings, and the shopkeeper lights up at the quality of the strange item. He offers a gold coin for it, and Tekeru asks if that's enough to cover lodging at an inn. The shopkeeper explains that a gold coin is worth 2 nights at an inn, which charges 500 raves for a single night. Tekeru is stunned at the value of the droppings and quickly agrees to the deal. The shopkeeper even rubs the shiny piece against his face in delight, then asks if Tekeru has any other goods to sell. Tekeru hands over his bundle of herbs, leaving the shopkeeper impressed with his collection. Curious, the shopkeeper asks why such valuable items are being sold in his modest shop. Tekeru casually replies that he's a traveling merchant, confident in his own ability. Interested, the shopkeeper offers him a request. He asks Tekeru to fetch some rare mithril ore from a mountain in the east. Tekeru agrees but asks for a map of the region. The shopkeeper nods and pays him a total of 360,000 raves for everything he sold. Tekeru is shocked at the mountain of cash, though the shopkeeper warns him that monsters dwell near the ore. With money in hand, Tekeru books a room at an inn for some rest. An attendant arrives with a wooden tub filled with hot water, explaining he can wash himself with it. Tekeru asks about a full bath, and she explains that only nobles can afford such luxury, though he could request one from a water mage. Eager to try out his own magic, Tekeru takes the basin and tips the girl generously before sending her off. Experimenting, he chants some words for a water bath. The command "clean" causes a stream of water to burst out, washing his entire body. Outside, the girl overhears Tekeru's sounds of delight in surprise. Tekeru feels refreshed from the spell, though a little frustrated that he still can't soak in a proper bath. The following morning, Tekeru collects more herbs and spots a spade-shaped mark. Investigating, he discovers a decayed skeleton clad in battle gear. Startled, he realizes it belonged to an adventurer who had fallen long ago. Among the remains, he finds an amulet holding a letter from the man's sister. Reading it, Tekeru learns the adventurer had been seeking wealth to treat their sick father, though his sister begged him to return home. Saddened, Tekeru buries the remains and says a prayer for the lost soul. Later, he casts a barrier around his camp, lights a fire, and sets a pot atop it. Filling it with water, vegetables, and eventually meat, he waits as the stew cooks. When he finally tastes it, he finds it rich and flavorful, praising this frozen world for its spices. Satisfied, Tekeru journeys deeper into the frost-covered forest of ancient dragons. Aware of lurking threats, he casts a spell for illumination. The glow reveals herbs scattered nearby, though there's no trace of ore. Relieved not to face monsters, he continues picking the herbs. Tekeru suspects that his terrible stench might actually be scaring away the monsters, so with a grin he dashes joyfully through the forest. Before long, he spots a faint glow ahead and follows it eagerly, only to end up running right off into a deep gorge, plummeting down the dark abyss. In a panic, he blurts out every spell he knows until he recalls one that allows flight. A radiant aura envelops him, gently guiding his descent until he lands safely on the cavern floor. Breathing in relief, he notices strange runic markings for ores etched across the walls around him. Without wasting time, Tekeru pulls out his hammer and begins striking at the rocks. One chunk falls loose, revealing silver ore, though he can't uncover any mithril. Casting another search spell, he senses hidden deposits, but the earth beneath starts to tremble. Determined to secure the find before leaving, he hurls a fireball to blast away the stone concealing it. When the flames clear, small shards of mithril glimmer faintly inside the rock. The meager haul frustrates him, yet he keeps digging, ignoring the increasingly violent quakes. Venturing deeper into the cavern, he discovers a flawless underground lake shimmering in the distance. A quick scan reveals it to be SS-ranked elemental water. Overjoyed by the treasure, he soon realizes the water belongs to the nest of an ancient dragon. A booming voice echoes, demanding to know the trespasser's name. Tekeru brushes it aside and contemplates how to collect the water, even tasting it. But the surface suddenly bursts apart as the dragon rises furiously, commanding him not to dismiss its presence. Tekeru stands quietly, staring at the beast. The dragon, intrigued by his composure, listens as Tekeru apologizes for stepping into its domain. As its eyes roam over him, he feels uneasy yielding before it. Yet the creature grows impressed by his boldness and asks who he truly is. Introducing himself as a human, Tekeru shocks the dragon, who can sense the overwhelming mana flowing through him. It admits his power was the reason it awakened, though it struggles to believe what it's sensing. The dragon compares his mana to its own and makes it clear he faces a prime Val being. With a grave nod, the beast names itself Valdeus. Tekeru casually asks if he may shorten it to Val, and the dragon accepts. Then Valdeus requests his aid, explaining Tekeru's mana could rouse his slumbering offspring. Startled, Tekeru listens as Val elaborates, magic energy in the lair has grown stagnant, preventing his brood from awakening. In exchange for his help, Val summons an enormous mass of flawless mithril ore. When Tekeru inquires about the eggs, the dragon conjures a vast obsidian egg from the lake's depths. It floats toward Tekeru, who presses it to his ear and hears a faint heartbeat within. Unsure of how to bring it to life, he asks, and Val instructs him to channel mana into the shell. Comparing it to casting a light spell, Val advises him to heat it with his energy, and Tekeru prepares to do so. As the egg heats up, it bursts with a fierce aura and begins draining all of Tekeru's mana into itself. Val lets out a sinister laugh, and Tekeru quickly realizes he's been tricked by the sly old dragon. His strength leaving him, Tekeru's vision dims, and it feels like he's sinking into deep water. Within that dreamlike state, Tekeru hears an unfamiliar voice reprimanding him for being so reckless. A mysterious figure appears, pointing out that Tekeru should have escaped instead of confronting the dragon. The man explains that he has been playing around with planet Matthias for countless ages, yet Tekeru managed to shake the entire world on only his second day there. The figure mutters that Tekeru's lack of caution could weaken the protection of the space overseer, before recalling that he originally wished for a cute companion. As Tekeru's consciousness slips further, the man remarks that he deserves some hardship. Before Tekeru can demand an explanation, the scene vanishes, and he awakens in reality. From the shadows of the cavern, Tekeru hears an adorable voice squeaking, and Val asks if he's alright. Believing it to be another of Val's tricks, Tekeru casts a light spell to reveal the prankster, only to discover a small dragon hatchling chirping at him, which promptly leaps onto his face. After gently setting the baby dragon aside, Val tells him to give it a name. Shocked that Val would allow him to name his own offspring, Tekeru hesitates. Val clarifies that his child already possesses a dragon name, but Tekeru should choose its common one. Standing up to think, Tekeru eventually decides to call it B, inspired by its black scales. Overjoyed, the little dragon licks his face in gratitude. Val announces the hatchling's true name, Black Nobivaldius, and commends Tekeru for giving such a fitting nickname. Val then grants permission for B to accompany Tekeru on his travels. Feeling the little one join his party, Tekeru reminds Val that he should be spending time with his newborn instead of leaving it with a stranger. But Val explains that he trusts Tekeru, acknowledging that he's even stronger than himself. Before retreating, Val shines a beam onto Tekeru's bag and then sinks back beneath the water. With B still covering his face in slabbery affection, Val bids him farewell before disappearing into the depths. Stunned by the strange encounter, Tekeru seriously asks B if he's ready for their journey together. B cheerfully agrees, so Tekeru cleans up the smelly little dragon to save his nose during the adventures ahead. That wraps up episode 1. Don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss the next part, and check out the next video on screen.